Chapter 6 Taken Identity. The 11th of February 2019. Invoice prepared for Mrs. Fitzgerald. Final total of £675. It still doesn't sit well with me, but I felt it had to be done. I spoke with her on the telephone and she was satisfied, if not happy. Hopefully the two of them will come to a natural end and have the chance to live a long and enjoyable life apart. If they stay together, it will be their choosing. I will have a clear conscience, well, apart from taking the money. And now on to my final case, perhaps before moving my life on. The case of Ernie Grimshaw. I've looked back at correspondence between Mr. Green and myself, and I'm really no further forward than I was at the beginning. Or am I? The old man on the farm clearly knows, or knows of, Mr. Grimshaw. The people in the pub know the man who claimed to be Mr. Grimshaw without knowing who he actually was. Mr. Green knows Mr. Grimshaw, or enough about him to want to spend a great deal of money finding out something or anything about him. We know he exists, or existed. The birth certificate proves that. We know when and where he was born. We know the names of his parents too. And that is about all, except that I now know another man used his name. Part of me feels that I'm being sent on a wild goose chase, looking for a man who doesn't exist. But why? Paranoia on my part? There is clearly something amiss. This old man, masquerading as Mr. Grimshaw, is strange enough, but he is to be my starting point. Before I can find the real Ernie Grimshaw, I need to find out who the false one really is. I know I'm repeating myself, Mr. Diary, but that's how my head is just now. I will call him again after breakfast and try and arrange another visit to Cumbria as soon as possible. I need to try and get some semblance of order for this case. The sooner this case is put to bed, the better. Then I can start afresh without the hassle and moral dilemmas. I already feel better for it. I slept well for the first time in an age. Right, a fry-up. That's what I need now. A fry-up before my new dawn. I will call after that. 9:50 a.m. Voicemail left. No pickup again. A simple, polite message. I hope he calls soon. I had a voicemail message of my own. Mother. A typical mum message, really. Getting in touch because I hadn't been in touch myself for a few days. Telling me she needed help with the computer as, in her words, it doesn't work for me like it does for you. And if you can afford to go to Germany, you can afford to cross town and spend time with your lonely mother. Before signing off with a, love you, son, got to go. I can hear the theme tune starting for Countdown. 2 p.m. The call came shortly after 1 o'clock. The old man's voice seemed hushed and laboured. When we met, he spoke with confidence and humour, but that sureness had gone. I got the impression he was struggling to talk, struggling to say what he wanted to tell me. He sounded frail, if that's possible. I asked him if we could meet soon, and he said he wanted to. He wanted to explain. I suggested we arrange a suitable time and date sometime this week. He suggested tomorrow at 2 p.m. So soon? I detected some urgency on his part, but I agreed. We said our goodbyes, and that was that. I had some preparation to do. I like to preempt what a person might say so that I have extra questions to follow up with. I like to paint a picture in my head, and in my diary, including timelines, places, people, and relationships. Whatever it was this old man wanted to tell me, he clearly wanted to get a load off his chest. A burden had carried him for some time. I didn't know what to call him. In my haste, I'd forgotten to ask his name. In fact, I even addressed him as Ernie when he called. That's the first thing I need, his name. Names are identities. Names have a history. Names open doors. Names have family. Names are traceable. Whoever this man is, he will have a past, and I will find out who he is, or was. And yet, it isn't him that I'm being paid to find. But he does play a part in this mystery. He might not be Ernie Grimshaw, but he has lived in the man's skin for decades. Why? Time to find out. The Greenhill Hotel had a room available. Fabulous. A little more expensive than the last time, but the bill can be added to my tab. Speaking of which, after this visit I will submit my expenses form to Mr. Green with an update. Hopefully after this visit I will have considerably more to tell him. I will leave early in the morning and take a leisurely drive up. I have a free afternoon now. No jobs are pressing. I will pack an overnight bag this evening. I think I will go for a drive now to give me time to think and mentally prepare for tomorrow. And I know just where I'm going to head. 7:30 p.m. It was a beautiful drive over the A680 to Rochdale this afternoon. The hilltops glistened with snow, and the sky was clear blue as far as the eye could see. After taking full and final payment from Mrs. F, I didn't envisage visiting the town again any time soon, but curiosity got the better of me. Deanhurst Park was my destination, and a certain bench within. I parked on Edenfield Road near the golf club so that I could take a leisurely stroll across. I arrived around 3 p.m. There were not many other people around. The icy breeze was biting, and I cursed myself for forgetting to wear my winter coat. It would be dark in an hour or so, and I had no plans to stay until then. I didn't plan to be there long, just like last time. There was no one on the bench when I arrived, but remarkably the outline of Robert Fitzgerald's footprints was still visible. The hard frost was not keen to let them go just yet. It seemed right, actually, appropriate. This was a special place for him. His presence deserved to linger. For a moment I forgot why I was there, and then I remembered. A note. I looked down to where it had been so tightly folded, then squeezed between the wrought iron frame of the bench. It wasn't there any more. The wind could not have taken it. The snow or sleet could not have disturbed it. Somebody had found it. Somebody had taken it. I would dearly love to know if it had reached the intended target, but alas, I can only speculate. And then I did something I'd never done before. I knew it was wrong, but it also felt right. I committed a terrible crime. A crime I have condemned others for. Graffiti. I defaced the property of the state. Only a little. Not enough to bring the Greater Manchester Police out in force, waving truncheons and spraying tear gas. I took out my black biro and scrawled on the wooden slat near the position the note had been wedged. I stood and admired my handiwork for a second before making my way back across the park towards the van, looking around to make sure I wasn't going to get caught for my illegal scribblings. I simply wrote in bold capitals, "Good luck, M. and R." The 12th of February 2019, 11:30 a.m. The drive up to Cumbria was trouble-free, and, as I write this, lying on the bed in my plush room in the Greenhill Hotel, I have time to jot some thoughts on the day ahead. I still had a couple of hours before the meet, and I had already thought of a million questions to ask. I decided, though, to take the cautious approach and just let him speak. He wants to speak. Questions might just distract him. There will be some, I'm sure, but my role should be listener, not talker. I'll take the dictaphone and ask if I may record the conversation. I will take written notes too, as I do not want to miss anything. I may only have this one chance to talk to him, and I don't want to waste it. After all this time, I know almost nothing about the man I am investigating. If I'm going to find anything about Mr. Grimshaw, the real Mr. Grimshaw, I need to get a lead on this chap, whoever he is, and he seems to be the best chance of finding one. The real Ernie Grimshaw was born in March 1929. That makes him a month shy of his 90th birthday, if he's still alive. I didn't have any reason to question the age of this other man before now, but I'm guessing it is similar. As mentioned before, I may not get another chance to interview the man, so I must make the most of this opportunity. I need to leave with as much evidence as possible, I need to take photos of any documents or pictures that might give me a lead. I think I'll go now and get to the village early. I have time to go into the Miner's Arms for a drink. I wasn't going to go in, but if I'm only here for the day, I have little else to lose. I won't give any secrets away. If anyone asks, I'm only up to tie a few loose ends and take some photographs. Not far from the truth anyway. Here goes. Wish me luck, Mr. Diary. 1:30 p.m. My last few notes before I meet the man. I'm sat in the van around the corner from the house. The visit to the miners was not a waste of time after all. Quite the contrary, actually. I hadn't actually noticed before, but the walls in there offered a treasure trove of memories. Photographs of local buildings and local people dating back over 75 years. The pub was quiet, near empty. Other than Sheila, none of the faces from last time were present. I exchanged pleasantries and flirted for a minute or two before taking my pint on a journey around the pub. All those people, all those lives. Who are they? Where are they now? What did they do with their lives? These are the kind of questions I've asked myself 1,000 times before on different cases, but there was nothing to gain by browsing now, was there? Well, actually there was, Mr. Diary. In the corner of the lounge was a small collection of photographs dating back to the 1930s. They were all of harvest festivals in and around the village, grand displays of fruit, vegetables and flowers, people dressed in their finest clothes, laughing and posing in front of the camera. Most of the pictures are handwritten captions informing the reader of the place the photograph was taken, and, if known, the people in them. The church, the high street, the pub, Greenbank Farm. Dated 1939, the photograph showed a middle-aged couple flanking a young boy. They had their hands resting on his shoulder, and the boy stood proud, chest out, holding a trophy. The black and white image was sharp and in focus. It could have been taken today. The caption underneath read, Greenbank, July 39, Harvest Festival. In picture, left to right, farmer David Shovel Hands Grimshaw, Ernie, holding a Spatria Young Wrestling Champ 1939, and young Mabel.